A spectacular performance. Curry from half court.
Sometimes, something looks like it's been there a while.
We are here, the 3 Points Podcast. We're coming back at you right about at the middle portion of the conference finals, or at least it would be the middle portion if one of the series had not ended in one of the most embarrassing sweeps we've seen in a while. Every sweep is pretty rough, but this one was in its own tier of bad for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
You didn't hear Kenny Atkinson.
Analytically, they actually won.
There's going to be a game 6.
I heard it was 3 out of 4, right? They're up 3-1.
Yeah.
That was as of the latest report from Kenny Atkinson.
The Knicks better get their act together. Cause...
Yeah, so I guess just because that one is already over and because there's probably not going to be much to talk about, I was thinking we could start with that one.
Yeah, sure, honestly.
And it's just us two, unfortunately. Our third co-host, Mr. Casual himself, has decided to skip out once again. Unfortunate. But anyways, Wes, go ahead.
Heard of playoff droppers, have a podcast, playoff droppers. But yeah, anyways, back to the Knicks. I feel like throughout all the episodes that we've talked about the playoffs, we haven't really maybe shown a light on the Knicks just because they've kind of dispelled of their opponent pretty quickly. Like even the Hawks, it is kind of crazy that is those 2 losses to the Hawks by 1 are their only 2 losses. Their point differential has got to be kind of crazy.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean they're just rolling and they're kind of. It is kind of crazy. Like the more the Spurs and Thunder series goes on, the more I'm kind of excited about the finals, like whoever comes out of the West, because the Knicks have just been every game's just been more impressive. Like you come to the playoffs and it's like, okay, this is just the same old Knicks. They have their flaws, they have their strengths of being a great offensive team, but defensively with Brunson and Cat, that's just always going to be you're leaking water all the time. But I mean, as the playoffs have gone on, they've just got certain guys that have come into form, like Landry Shamet as of late has been pretty incredible off the bench. He's been a flamethrower. Mikal Bridges had a pretty rocky start to that Hawks series, but since then he's been striping it. And then the big 3, because I think it's a big 3 at this point, have been as consistent as any big.
Zoom is just going crazy with the focus, anyways.
But yeah, I mean the Knicks, I think they do have a serious big 3, and it's really kind of beautiful to see because I think with I'm trying to think how the right word, but the concept of this team was very good. Even when the collection of talent, Mikal Bridges, OG, Cat, Brunson, and Josh Hart. I mean, he's kind of just a 5th guy that you had to throw in there. But the collection of talent was pretty exciting at first, except it's just for the past couple of years, it's just kind of been hitting their head on the ceiling. It seems like that. I think that's a good way to describe it. It's not like they choked really in any of their playoff series. Against the Pacers, they played pretty well, but it's just their philosophy wasn't really, I don't know, cohesive to reaching the full potential of everything they have on this team. And I think that's kind of what we've seen. Brunson and Cat have been incredible, not just as scorers, which is kind of what you expect, but facilitating and getting all the other guys involved. I mean, as I said, Landry Shamet has been striping it. And it's because they're just the offensive talent around on this team is just incredible. The floor spacing is pretty incredible. Josh Hart is the only, when you think about the best 5 out there, it's probably Josh Hart is your 5th guy. I mean, maybe Deuce, maybe Mitch, depending on the lineup, but Josh Hart's kind of the only true non-shooter, and even he's kind of hitting his threes at a pretty reliable clip. So it's just they're kind of steamrolling right now. It'll be tough because whoever comes out of the West is going to be the best defense by far they face. They didn't get to face the Pistons, which would have been the best defense that they faced up to this point. But the Cavs have been a poor defense. The Hawks were a bad defense, and the Sixers were an underwhelming defense. So they're in for a shocker. But I think at this very point, Jalen Brunson is playing incredible. And like I said, it's not his volume that's really moving me. It's more his assisting and passing and playmaking.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see the offense is humming. So
I mean, I was definitely somebody who had bought into the narrative that the Brunson and Cat pairing was always going to have a lower ceiling than maybe you would think on paper, just because their flaws kind of compounded and their strengths didn't really mesh with one another. But I think they've basically shattered that narrative to bits. This whatever happens in the finals, that narrative is done for. It's clear that this duo has a championship level ceiling, and I think the big thing, like Wes, you mentioned, that's kind of helped unlock it is that I think Jalen Brunson has really taken a leap as a playmaker. I don't know if I'm seeing as many people talk about this as maybe I think it should be, or at least you'd think would be, considering at least to me how much it's jumped out visually. But you just don't see the I guess isolation play that you saw from him the previous two postseasons. This postseason, he is so much more, yeah, I guess, decisive as a playmaker. You can tell that he's really looking to take advantage of all of the space that he creates by being such a talented isolation scorer. He's looking to take advantage of it by finding the open guy, and obviously it's something that's very simple, and it's something that oftentimes you see these guys. I mean, you look at the other side. Look at a guy like Donovan Mitchell. You would think for a guy like Donovan Mitchell that it would be so easy because he so often creates these massive advantages. He forces the defense to collapse. He forces the defense to double and shade. And you would think that all it takes is kind of like scanning your eyes around and finding, okay, who's the open guy, that I can swing it to, and then we go swing, swing, and then we find the open cut or whatever, an easy uh, 2 points. But it so often seems like for a lot of these guys, their ceiling really comes at that point because they're so, I guess, wrapped up in this idea that they have to be taking a certain amount of shots, or that they have to be consistently attacking their matchup and scoring on their matchup. And so I think it's been really a leap in mentality, I guess, if you will, for Jalen Brunson this postseason. Again, at least this is based on my eye test.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if the assist numbers necessarily reflect it entirely.
I mean, I remember like one of the games he was
But
14 assists in one game. I
but
feel like we didn't
yeah,
see that. You just
yeah,
didn't see that
absolutely.
last year. So
Yeah, I mean, again, I could just like in my mind's eye, I can see him just like attacking on the baseline and then finding, the open guy in the corner, and the guy in the corner swings to the guy in the wing for, an open three. I think also you're seeing it in the way that, like you mentioned, Landry Shamet. How many of these Landry Shamet threes have been semi-contested or wide open? I mean, he's a guy who is going to shoot 45% or more on wide open threes, and the defense is still being forced to concede so many of these. I think precisely because of how crisp the ball movement has been from all of the Knicks. But again, it really does start with Jalen Brunson because he's handling the ball the majority of the time. So yeah, I mean, you just can't say enough about how good he's been. And he really is. I mean, he's now in a position where he can be one of 10 or so guys over the last 25 years to be the best player on a championship team.
yeah.
So I mean, I would love to see it for him. And then obviously, like Wes, you already mentioned all these other guys. OG's been great. Mikal's been great. Cat's been great. Josh Hart has been great. Josh Hart, I think, really does. He is a limited player, but he just complements this specific group of guys so well.
I think he's very underrated just because, like, you can say complete non-shooter, but I mean, has he really been in this playoffs? And he does like the connective things you want to
Absolutely.
Like, it's just
because the reality is, like, and I was mentioning this in the group chat, you essentially have three guys on this team who have previously been number one options on fairly quality teams. I mean, Cat was the number one option on a Minnesota team that made the playoffs. Obviously, we know about Brunson. Mikal Bridges for half a season was the number one option on a Nets team that snuck into the playoffs. Like, you need the connective guy, and I think especially the big thing. I mean, it's not exactly a revelation, but you're seeing it again. I mean, we've seen it this is the third straight playoff run. That offensive rebounding, especially from somebody who's able to kind of lurk on the perimeter and then crash the glass from outside and take guys kind of unawares when they're not paying attention, it's so incredibly valuable. And I think it really does complement a team where, admittedly, Cat is he's just one guy. Mikal Bridges is not somebody who you're thinking of impacting the game on the glass. Jalen Brunson, obviously, at his size, is always going to be a limited rebounder. OG is a quality rebounder, but again, I don't think he's not the best rebounding forward. You do need a guy like Josh Hart to help out Cat, I think, and that's where he's adding a lot of value. You're just finally seeing this team, I think, play up really to be the sum of its parts, and that's a beautiful thing.
I think, like, for me, like, something that's kind of like maybe on face value, you're kind of like, has Jalen Brunson really taken a leap? I mean, he dropped from, or I mean, okay, this is the same playoff run, I guess, but like his point scoring has kind of decreased as the playoffs have gone on. Like, he started 26.3 against the Hawks, 29 against the Sixers, and then he averaged 25.5 against the Cavaliers. But when you go to the assist numbers, it's kind of, I mean, it's only one assist a game that pretty much, or kind of two almost, that it's jumped up from the first round to the second round from 6.2 against the Hawks to 7.8 against the Cavaliers. But I think that just kind of goes to show that as these playoffs have gone along, he's gotten more comfortable. I remember like in that Hawks series, OG was really more the best player on that team, but Brunson has definitely kind of shown his impact and shown his ability to impose himself on the game, create advantages, and kick it out to elite shooters or just average shooters. But like in Josh Hart's case, but when he's getting wide open looks, I mean, you don't really mind a Josh Hart shooting a three. And that's really like.
Sorry, one second.
Say mine.
Turnover. Yeah, and then, okay,
I was
so
looking
then
for turnovers. Actually.
they apparently don't. Bass Reference only has total turnovers, not average turnovers, which is kind of strange.
Yeah.
But what I was going to point out is that if you look, 7.8 assists, that's up from 5.7 in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. So I think you're kind of seeing it borne out in the stats. I mean, again, I would say the eye test shows that it's been an even bigger leap than that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he was always handling the ball so much that you're going to end up with high assist numbers. And obviously, he's never been necessarily a poor playmaker. I think in the same way that somebody like a Donovan Mitchell or even somebody like a Paul George, it kind of can really get exposed in the playoffs. But again, it's just been a massive leap. And you're also like the turnovers. Again, Basketball Reference is kind of being dumb. It doesn't have total average turnovers.
10 over 4 games, 7 over 4
but
games.
If you go back to last year's Eastern Conference Finals, that's 24 over what, 6 games?
Yeah. So like
that's what is that? 4 a game versus
10 divided by 4, so 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's down. Assists are up,
like,
turnovers are down. That's good. That's good things.
I think like with stats, it's kind of hard to like. Sometimes you just see like one tick up or one tick down. But I think in assists and turnovers, that does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
It just shows like this guy's consistently like he's cutting off the fat.
I mean, his assist turnover ratio is basically doubled.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's kind of like what, like, for example, that's kind of what makes Shea kind of an elite player, because I'm trying to think of like other players who's kind of
Tyrese. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
You saw all last playoffs. I mean, when you can distribute the ball like that and not turn it over, it creates such a high floor for your offense.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of guys kind of get it twisted where they're, making a bunch of passes and just turning it over, and then it kind of just cancels out like any playmaking you're trying to do. Like, and I think Brunson has really kind of found that groove. And he's just the hub. I mean, the offensive hub. And he's always been the offensive hub, but he's more of I think like a hub is a better way to describe it. Yeah. Whereas like in past years, it's kind of been very heliocentric, and he is able to take on that load. Like, don't get it wrong, he's dropped 40 bombs at the pot in the past on pretty decent efficiency, but this is him at his best, or this is the team at its best.
Yeah,
it's fully realized. And shout out Mike Brown for the coaching. I mean, like,
by the way, were the people who said fire Thibs are not now the most vindicated people in the world?
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, these kind of, it's funny because these narratives, like, they get forgotten so quickly but it's like there was a whole giant debate last season about whether or not firing Thibs, is it Thibs or Tibbs?
Tibbs.
It's Tibbs. Yeah. I always want to say Thibs.
It's like Thomas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But there was a whole debate about that, and I think
not that one of us is named Thomas or anything. That's
our names have been doxed long ago. But it's like, point being, I think that in this case there's been a clear winner. Tibbs, for as many strong points as he does have, he is not the guy to get a team over the hump. And so shout out Mike Brown, like you said. And then also, like, speaking of narratives, like, let's not forget, one of the big narratives with Jalen Brunson was that he's a guy who freezes out his teammates and turns the offense into a one-man show.
Mm-hmm.
And so again,
oh my God, look at these.
Like, yeah, based on what we've been talking about, like, I think that's another narrative that's just been completely demolished. Yeah.
I mean, I always like Brunson as like a guy who can be pretty decent on like a high volume, but yeah, he's kind of elevated, and he's kind of like branched off into a new venue that can kind of enhance his effect on the game. Another guy that, I mean, we've already talked about all the guys that deserve a shout, but just to put a pronunciation or like a number to how good Karl Anthony Towns has been as a playmaker. I mean, this is kind of hard to believe. Like, looking at his playoff history in the past, he doesn't have a series where he's above 3 assists a game. And then every single series so far against the Hawks, against Philly, against Cleveland, he's doubled that. I mean, I guess 4 assists against the Cavs, but 6.0 assists against the Atlanta Hawks, 7.5 assists against the Sixers, and 4 assists against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, Cat has also been incredible. I mean, also like defensively, he's been like pretty decent as well.
Yeah.
Not like, I mean, you're never gonna get, like elite rim protection or elite roaming presence
I mean,
that you get with other guys, but he's not been too bad of a negative.
Yeah, and I guess to like segue maybe a little bit into talking about the Cavs, like because one of the things I was kind of thinking about coming into this series is like, well, Evan Mobley on one end is probably a decent matchup for Cat, and then Jared Allen when he gets his raise, and on the other end, on the offensive end, maybe with his energy and stuff, can cause some problems on the offensive glass, some putbacks. You didn't see any of that. Cat dominated both those guys. Mobley was like all right, but not great, and Jared Allen was taken out of the series completely. Cat looked like the better rebounder. Cat looked like the more athletic player. Cat looked like the more physically dominant player, which is what Jared Allen's supposed to be. So I mean, yeah, shout out Cat. He completely neutralized both of those bigs.
Yeah.
And I guess to move on further, because we probably should talk about the Cavs. I mean, it's tough to know what to say because they are kind of at the point where it feels like whatever version of them we see next season is not going to be the same version we saw this season. There's now going to be a whole, I think, summer of talk with Donovan Mitchell. People keep saying that he's going to quote unquote ask out, like he has any leverage, like he didn't just play the worst series of probably his entire career in the playoffs.
Biggest stakes.
Yeah, I mean, if I were them, I mean, whether he asked that or not, he'd be out.
Yeah.
He'd be gone.
Yeah.
He'd be somewhere else. I think the Donovan Mitchell era is just. It might not actually be over, but I think spiritually it is over. You know now that he's never going to be winning a championship as the best player on your team.
I mean, yeah, it is kind of tough because, like, I mean, what is it? Kenny Atkinson definitely has to go. I mean, he has to finish his winning streak right now. He's on an insane winning streak right now. But once he's done, like his reign of the NBA is over, then maybe the Cavs should get rid of him. But it is kind of tough because I do think this is a situation where the Cavs might make the fatal mistake of just getting rid of the coach and not really realize that there's some flaws with this team. Like you can't just run it back with the same roster or roughly the same roster. Like you kind of have to make some big moves. I think, in my opinion, Mobley and Allen. I mean, he's not obviously young as Mobley, but he wasn't really the problem. But I think those two are like the only two guys that are like truly untouchable. Like Harden's.
I don't know about untouchable. I mean, I wouldn't mind going in. I think
for like
Mobley's untouchable.
Yeah.
Mobley is untouchable, even though admittedly he didn't look great in this series,
Yeah.
especially offensively. And I know that, like the conversation about, well, does Evan Mobley have to do more on offense? Like, or that's not his role. Like, that's not what he's on the court to do. Like that whole debate has been raging for like 3 years now. I think we are reaching the point where it's pretty obvious. It's kind of like we reached the same point with Bam probably a few years ago, where it's pretty obvious. Whatever you think, he's never going to make that jump.
Yeah, number one
to be a number one option. So there's no point really worrying too much, doing too much discourse about it. It is what it is. But point being, I still think just because of what he provides defensively, he should be untouchable. To me, everyone else on this roster, obviously Harden, obviously Mitchell, and I would say even Jared Allen.
I'm just not
with his contract, especially. I would say,
is it that bad? I thought it was not egregious.
It's not egregious, but it's definitely in the realm where you could flip it for better players. There's better players making that much money.
Yeah.
And when you start getting into that conversation of like, okay, what are contracts we can attach picks to flip for better players? I think he is one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, again, they should be on the lookout for anything and everything this offseason, I think.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, I kind of not like went all in on like the Cavs being like a contender, but I just didn't see them. This was not them at their best. Like Harden just playoff dropper. I thought as like the second option to like second fiddle, he'd be much better. But I guess
he just really seems to
regress as this.
It's bizarre. I mean, it's really strange. He just doesn't. I don't know. I mean, you're kind of forced to resort to using cliches, right? He doesn't seem to want to win.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to play with a ton of energy.
And you have to realize
he's not aggressive. He seems to treat it like it's, like regular season game number 64 in like early March or whatever.
Yeah.
It's strange to look at. You don't feel like you're watching a guy who's playing in playoff intensity.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just I mean, it's supposed to be like a hired mercenary come in there and take them over the top. But yeah, obviously not. It's not been the case. I think like everyone on the Knicks definitely deserves a shout. Probably not gonna be able to get to everyone, but yeah, OG been incredible the entire playoffs. Cat has also been incredible the entire playoffs. And yeah, I mean, We can do like a finals preview for like hypothetically Spurs, hypothetically Thunder at the end, I guess. But yeah, just major props to the Knicks, and I think like in years past or in recent Eastern Conference Finals history or Eastern Conference history, it's just been like somebody has to come out of the East, except for like the Celtics year when they were like the best team. I think like it's just been like okay, the Heat, somebody has to come out. Even like the Pacers last year, like they ended up being like pushing the Thunder 7, but this team like kind of feels like it might just be better than that Pacers team, as much as I love that Pacers team. But anyways, yeah, major props to Knicks, of course, and good luck Cavs because it's gonna be a rough offseason. A lot of retooling to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess then we can move on to the Spurs and the Thunder. This was the series that everybody was looking forward to. This is the series everybody was hyping up. It's pretty much lived up exactly to the hype. One thing that's been, I think, a little unfortunate is that after the first two games, which were both instant classics, even though the series has remained pretty even in terms of results, the actual games themselves have not been as competitive. It's basically been three straight blowouts, with Oklahoma City taking the most recent one, going up 3-2. I guess I'll just say a little spoiler alert. If I had to predict, I would 100% say that the Spurs are going to win Game 6 at home and send this to Game 7. But if we're going to talk about what's actually been going on the court, I think you have to kind of start with the Shea narrative, the Shea. What has been going on with him? I mean, obviously his team is up 3-2. He's continued to play well, relative to the standards of just anybody. But relative to his standards, he's been a little bit disappointing, and I think it's really been a lot of what we talked about in our Western Conference Finals preview episode, where we discussed
Pause that, and watch that.
Absolutely, yeah. All 55 minutes, just so you have the context.
Watch it a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these are kind of high level ideas, so. If you're not familiar with like it's like a math course. If you don't know the prerequisite, you're not going to
understand.
Yeah, you're just going to struggle. But the first two rounds of the playoffs really gave teams the blueprint. It's like, okay, yes, the Thunder have too many guys to really ever hope to stop all of them. But if you throw two at Shea, you throw three at Shea, you shade Shea to the baseline. You send your big at Shea. You trap him coming off of the pick and roll. You trap him in that in transition. You send two guys at him when he's taking the ball off the court, and try to like tip his pass and get turnovers, et cetera, et cetera. Just put all this pressure on him constantly. Make him dribble twice as much as he'd have to dribble in the regular season. Make him make decisions he would never have to make in the regular season, et cetera, et cetera. Just put everything on him, and make him give the ball up over and over and over, which he's not comfortable doing. If you follow that blueprint, you can create some problems, and that's really been what the Spurs have done so effectively.
98 field goal attempts a game. Is that total? It seems like an insane. I mean, obviously it's under the because then these like field goal percentages are.
It's probably total.
Yeah, that's got to be total. That's
right.
That's like some. What's that one guy who had like the Mozgov, where it's like.
Well, actually, wait, no. I mean, when you think about it, wait. 98
a game, isn't that like egregious? Like,
no, I mean that. Wait. Okay, I'm trying to think. Well, no, because then obviously 158 is impossible. There's no way any team's getting up 158 shots a game.
18 3-pointer attempts a game, I don't think is right. Like,
well,
it's a couple a game, which makes sense. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, wait. Wait. I thought this was for the entire Spurs team. This is just him.
This is just.
So obviously, he's not taking 98 shots. Okay, never mind. I was so confused. I was like, wait. Well, 98 sounds about right for a team.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. We were doing some little accounting on a basketball reference. Wait. What was I saying? I was
how they're regarding
exactly. So all the pressure they're putting on Shea and how that had been the blueprint that teams had kind of shown the first.
I think the Lakers,
especially the Lakers, they didn't really have the personnel to pull it off though, which is why they still ended up looking, I mean, pretty rough. Let's be honest, they did get swept. But you're seeing the Spurs, who have some of the most athletic, the most tenacious, the most frustrating defensive personnel in the league to play against, take this playbook and really run with it. And obviously, it all is going to begin and end with Wemby, and the fact that because he's sitting down there in the middle of the court, constantly patrolling the paint, you can afford to kind of let some things slip that a lot of other teams couldn't afford to let slip. You can let cutters run free at the basket because there's nothing there anyways. You can let shooters kind of sit on the, at the top of the key because Wemby is going to use his like freakish length and just like run out there and give a good contest anyways. And all this other stuff that a lot of other teams can't pull off. And I think that's really that's the blueprint. That's the way the Spurs have stayed in this series. The reality is they haven't been particularly great on offense, but they've shown enough on defense, this strategy that they've kind of, I guess, I don't know, maybe not perfected, but they've certainly shown the best version of it out of any of the teams that have tried to run it, has really succeeded in keeping this Spurs offense disjointed and unsure of themselves and not playing up to their best, their max potential. And so I think if you see the Spurs pull something off in these last two games, it's going to have to come on the back of better shooting, crisper passing, and just overall a better offensive package than the one that they've been throwing out, because the reality is it hasn't been that great. And maybe you could touch on that, because there's a lot of stuff I could talk about, but I don't want to ramble for too long.
No, yeah. I think like you are kind of right about the offensive process just kind of being what's gone wrong for the Spurs. I think the main takeaway from this series is that, I mean, game one, I think, just to touch on game one a bit, that was just one of the greatest games any of us have ever seen. I think like Wembanyama was insane. Caruso was the best player on the Thunder, I think, in that game, just the way he was guarding Wemby. But just kind of general trends for this series. This is a defensive-minded series. Everybody's efficiency has gone down. Nothing's coming easy, even for the greatest scorers in this game right now. So it's just been kind of insane. I think, like you touched on with the offensive process for the Spurs, it boils down to their elite shooters and just kind of not both of them, Vassell and Champagnie, that being Champagnie and Vassell, them just not having both elite shooting games at the same time. Like, I think Vassell had the hotter start to the series, but then Champagnie wasn't looking too hot. But then in the past couple of games, Champagnie's kind of had it going, and Vassell's kind of left them hanging. He shot 33% from three. Vassell shot 33% in game one, whereas in game five, he might have gone over, maybe. He went 2 for 9, so Vassell has kind of dropped off as the series has gone on, as well. Champagnie's kind of, taking the, I don't know, maybe gotten a little more comfortable, I guess, as the series has gone on, or maybe the Thunder's defense is kind of adjusted to his shooting not being too hot, so they've kind of sagged off him a little bit more. But I don't know, it's just kind of been, you're kind of waiting, kind of for both teams for the offensive click. Like, you're waiting for Shea to have an eruption, because kind of the entire series he's relied on tough shot making. He's been inefficient which I can excuse just because it's just one of the toughest matchups. It's probably the toughest matchup he's faced in his playoff career. So everybody's efficiency is taken a bit. He's relied a lot on getting to the line, which, it's a big topic of discussion, but suffice to say, he's not had his greatest offensive game so far in the series, and you're kind of just waiting for that. For the Spurs, they also haven't had their offense flowing, and I'm not really sure if we are going to see anybody have a great offensive game in the series. It's kind of tough with two elite defenses. Not that the series hasn't been fun to watch, despite the offensive output not being super flashy, because if you like defense, this is the series for you, because this is two of the greatest defenses that we maybe have ever seen going head to head. Is all defense caliber players on both sides of the floor, so it's kind of fun to watch from that perspective. But in terms of schematics, I think for the Spurs, they're gonna have to get Wemby in the post a little bit more. I think the big switch that's kind of made that hard, though, is Hartenstein being much more playable, and that push shot being
playable. I'm using air quotes when I say that,
compared to like just not being playable at all. Because
I mean,
being able to roam off anybody means that Wemby can just.
I mean, if you gave me a pocket knife and told me that I could shank any player that I wanted to, I'd probably be playable too on an NBA court.
Yeah, I mean,
I really do think, and I know. I mean, Wes, man, I'll let you talk about it, I guess. I know you get. I think you get. I mean, a lot of like very hardcore, like intelligent NBA fans get frustrated with more casual people talking about this kind of stuff, because it does become a little bit of a ridiculous narrative that gets run into the ground. But I do think it's very unfortunate to see one player clearly get so much leeway in a way that is clearly explicitly meant to benefit one team.
Saying Hartenstein being able to
Hartenstein being able to grapple and grab and shove Wembanyama in a way that I don't see any other player on the court. I mean, again, I'm not a dummy myself, right? I do watch these games. I have watched basketball for a while. I'm not a casual. I regularly watch NBA games in the regular season. I watch the majority of big playoff games. I've watched every game of this series. Like, I mean, again, I'm not necessarily a casual fan. I 100%. I see it. It jumps out the page to me the way that Hartenstein is quote unquote guarding Wembanyama. It's frustrating, and I understand why refs feel as though you have to give him some leeway because otherwise, Wembanyama is going to abuse his height to such a degree. And obviously, Jokic has gone through the same thing. Jokic, I mean, we've seen the pictures of Jokic with the scratches on his shoulder and forearm and stuff. Steph gets grabbed up all the time. Warriors fans complain about it, but everybody kind of understands that you have to allow that because otherwise it would, be out of control. Or whatever reasons people give.
Yeah.
It's clear this is something that happens in a variety of ways across a variety of series to a variety of players.
Yeah. 100%.
But it's still frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right in front of you, and everybody kind of knows what's going on, and you have to just accept it and say, okay, this is part of the way that the game is going to be officiated. It's frustrating, at least to me. Anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. I mean, yeah. I mean, I know people are going to on social media. They're going to run it into the ground in a way that gets kind of annoying because obviously it's not like OKC is winning this series just because of the refs. I mean, we were just talking about all the other stuff. I'll let you get back to it, but I just kind of had to say my piece about that.
I mean, I think one thing I did want to touch on is I do think OKC does. And they've had this reputation ever since they became like the greatest, at least on-ball defensive team, collection of talent, maybe like that we've ever seen. They certainly do get more. And this is kind of talking about their guards or forwards guarding on the perimeter, but it even kind of extends to their post players, Hartenstein, Chet. They do get a little more leeway in terms of the way they can guard players. Like Lou Dort, for example. I mean, he's like the prime example of just the way he guards. I want to say, was it last year? Did they face just the way he was guarding Jamal Murray last year? The players,
Yeah.
It was. I mean, you can't lie that there's fouling going on, and I think they get that pass because they're known as an elite defense. They're going to play hard, and I think something that kind of gets swept under the rug sometimes, at least with their perimeter defenders, is that a lot of the time when you're watching live, it might seem like Casey Wallace just fouled him, or Caruso just fouled him, or Dort just fouled him, but in slow motion, they have great hands and they know exactly what they're going for. They know how to just touch the ball and just disrupt the guy's rhythm.
I will say at least this series, I haven't seen as much of that.
Yeah.
It's at least for me,
Hartenstein.
It's been much more Hartenstein, and then to some degree, when they switch the guards on Wembanyama, they're doing the same thing. But again, we all know guards get away with fouls on bigs, that's part of the game. But seeing one big to another, where it's called there's such a discrepancy from one end to the other. Because again, Wembanyama is not guarding. I mean, obviously he doesn't have to because Hartenstein's not going to be attacking one on one.
He's kind of got that push shot.
But
that's kind of
Wemby is not doing to Hartenstein on the other end what Hartenstein is doing to him.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think another way to reconcile it is the playoffs. The physicality will just tick up. It kind of happens to Chet as well. He just gets pushed around sometimes. I mean, Champagnie bullied his skinny.
I mean, he was inside the circle on both of those. So
I'm not saying it's. I'm just saying it's more physical. I'm not saying either of them fouled. I mean, Hartenstein, no doubt, he definitely fouled. But in game one as well, there was what's his name pulled Castle's hair. So I mean, there's dirty falls kind of going both ways. I think also the way that Castle or just anybody is guarding Shea is also. I mean, kind of with Steph, the way he moves off ball or even on the ball, he's getting fouled constantly. So it kind of goes both ways. I get that you can pull up clips where it's really egregious the way Hartenstein just shoves Wemby in the back or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. There's certainly dirty plays going both ways, and something also that's kind of more recent is without AJ and without J-Dub, with how valuable Jared McCain has all of a sudden been. I think it's pretty egregious the way Biyombo and Mason Plumlee just kind of shoved him in the back extremely hard in that closing out in Game 5. I think that was pretty dirty, but it's probably not going to get talked about. But I get it. Wemby is obviously much more pivotal than a Jared McCain, but I do think it kind of goes both ways. If you're kind of like Thomas said, I think it didn't have an outcome on the. It didn't have a major effect on the outcome of the game. Like in general, whoever won.
And that's the thing, because these games have been so, they haven't been close since game 2 is when it really kind of came to everybody's attention. It definitely felt like something shifted. Maybe a conversation was had between, I mean, and again, I'm not implying anything untoward, as they say. This is the way of the world, right? Is how things work. Coaches talk to the refs. They say, "Hey, look, we saw this in game 1. We thought it was unfair. Can you change? Can you keep an eye on that in game 2, etc." Yeah. But it definitely felt like somebody had said something, and Hartenstein was allowed to be more physical with Wembanyama in a way that caught everybody's attention, and not in a positive light. But then since game 2, these games haven't been close, so there's really no point saying, oh well, if they just didn't call this and this foul, blah blah blah, one team would have won. Like, no, it's just been like San Antonio has shot. I just checked it. They've shot, I think, 27, 29, 31% from 3 in these 3 games. The one game that they won, Oklahoma City scored 82 points, so they weren't going to win that game no matter what happened.
Yeah.
So, but again, I do think if Game 6 is competitive, you're going to see the Hartenstein Wembanyama thing jump right back into the spotlight, because it hasn't changed at all. If you've been watching this matchup, it's been just as physical as it was in Game 2 when everybody was complaining about it. So again, I'm just saying, like, the league I think they do it to themselves to some degree. They create these narratives by changing, even on a game-to-game basis, how certain matchups are officiated, how certain teams are officiated. I just, and you don't see it. I don't know. I don't want to. I know NBA media, they spend so much time complaining about the state of the league, blah blah blah, but you don't see it in baseball. You don't see it in football. You don't see these types of conversations generally. It's not. There's something about maybe the sport of basketball that lends itself to this, but
I think
it is what it is, I guess.
I think another thing that I've kind of come to terms with is that this is kind of just like what the Warriors went through, or what the Chiefs have gone through, or what any great team kind of goes through, is that teams or people are maybe like bored with how good a team is, that they're just like hating on them for any particular reason. Because I mean, it's not like it's not valid, that Hartenstein is like maybe being a little dirty with Wemby, but like, kind of goes both ways, and in my opinion, it kind of just cancels out at the end of the day. The better team's going to win, not because of any refs giving them any favors on the whole. So, but I do kind of get it, like frustration with how Wemby's kind of getting pushed around. We're not getting to see him, maybe be at his best. But I mean, it is kind of a weakness of him. Like, slight guys like him and Chet, if they're able to get pushed around, that's not a. And if Hartenstein is able to, just push him around, then why not do it?
Yeah,
I think like the main thing that the Spurs really have to worry about is just getting their offense going, because their defense. I mean, nobody's defense has been bad. Everybody's defense has been like pretty good. I mean, everybody's had their breakouts here and there, but I think that everybody has to worry about. Both teams have to worry about how they're going to get their offense going. Like, especially without like AJ. I don't know if you know, AJ is not going to be playing Game 6 either. He might play Game 7, but he's going to be out for Game 6. So that means more of Jared McCain minutes, obviously, to get that shooting out there. Honestly, it's kind of crazy because nobody's really taking the reign of like best player in the world. Like coming into the series, I thought these two were the best players in the world. I think Jokic is kind of fallen out of that conversation. I don't really care about any like, oh, he averages more points, assists, rebounds. Yeah. The effect, he's just giving it right back on the defensive end. Whereas
best player in the world, some are saying, didn't even step foot on the court this season. They're saying it's Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, we'll see.
I swear to God, that the performance Tyrese Halliburton put together in the conference finals last year is more impressive than any individual performance I've seen from any player in the playoffs this season. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
One game 1, I think was.
I'm saying over the course of those 2 series.
Oh, like not just one game.
Yeah, I'm saying. I think those 2 series combined were more impressive than any 2 series played by any player this playoffs.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's not. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that's like a beyond the scope of this podcast.
Yeah. What was I saying? But yeah, I mean, I think the offense is just whoever has a good offensive game, like even just like a slightly better offensive game, that's going to be where the margin lies. I mean, Vassell and Champagne are critical to the Spurs offensive process.
You need Fox. Where has Fox been? I mean, it's like we didn't know it coming in, but Jesus Christ,
Fox is hibernating.
I mean, yeah, can you can't even, can you count him for like 15 points a game,
Yeah. I mean, you could tell like both him and Harper both
Is he
went
at,
through
is he at A3? That's a really good question. Has De'Aaron Fox hit A3 this entire series?
Oh yeah, he didn't play game one. What am I saying? Let's see. Come back game 3.
Yeah. He's only played 3, but still, I mean, 3 games. Let's see. De'Aaron Fox. Let's see. Yeah, 1 for 6. Fair enough.
Yeah,
16%. Yeah, 16%. Yeah, I mean, that's your second option, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it's just injuries are tough. But both teams are dealing with injuries.
Yeah,
I would argue that the Thunder's losses are more critical. Like,
Jalen Williams being out is. I mean, you can't talk about it because
I think AJ's been the second best player.
But I mean, but I think what's interesting is that because Jalen Williams has been out for so long and so frequently, people do forget this is their second option.
Yeah,
who they've just been missing this entire run, and they've still looked, with the exception of a few games, fairly dominant against a team that again many people thought was poised to unseat them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like that is incredibly impressive, and it does make you think like, hey, who knows? I mean, Jalen Williams' injury seems to be
he's injured last year.
I don't even know. I don't know what's going on with it. It's like the calf strain or whatever.
It's hamstring.
The hamstring that won't heal. Yeah. I don't know.
AJ has
it's just strange.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's one of those situations where you do have to wonder if he's able to somehow be cleared for these random games in like the second round series. How is it that he's now out again for another like 5 straight games? Like, what's going on with the medicals? I mean, I understand like these things are complicated, but I don't know, man. You think in 2026 they'd have a better handle on whether or not a guy's ready to play?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I were a Thunder fan, I would be pissed if you wasted his like 1 game of health on that second round series and then ended up aggravating it for this entire series now. Mm-hmm. That's frustrating. That could be. I mean, again, they're obviously Thunder are poised to take this, but that could be if the Spurs do end up winning these last 2 games. That could be a major factor.
Yeah, 100%. His health on the whole is just kind of makes you wonder. Like, I mean, Chet and Shea are like the 2 big building blocks. You thought J-Dub was also that 3rd building block, but with these injury concerns, it's kind of a little troubling. But you probably keep him.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned Chet. Like, that's another. I think there's at least a world where one of the ways in which OKC helps wake their offense up is if Chet starts getting a little something going.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, again, it's not gonna come against Wembanyama in the block. We know that. But maybe he has a hot shooting game where he hits, 5 or 6 threes, and kind of closes the series out that way. Maybe he gets something going in the intermediate, on the short roll, with the mid-range jumper.
He's had moments this series where
he
takes a smaller guy and posts him up.
Attacking mismatches, drawing fouls, and all that. But yeah, I mean, he's another guy. It's like. I think you do kind of know at this point what you're going to get from him offensively. You also know that he's going to be one of the most imposing defensive players in the entire game. But yeah, I mean, you would like to see. I think you would like to have seen him without J-Dub maybe be a bit more aggressive. I mean, Wemby is a very tough matchup, but he definitely hasn't taken whatever the next step for him would be. He hasn't taken it this series when I think he had an opportunity to. So. That's something else to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, all told, I don't think I see a path for the Thunder. And again, unless you get some kind of incredibly hot shooting.
Really?
No, I was saying waking their offense up. I think. I think for the sorry, I was about to but I don't think I see a realistic path for them without the return of either AJ or J-Dub getting this offense going in any meaningful sense. I think you're seeing kind of without these secondary. Playmakers, secondary scorers, etc. You're seeing kind of the ceiling of their offense because what they're doing on every possession is
27 offense.
I know, it's pretty incredible. But what you're seeing is Shea gets doubled. He patiently finds the open man, passes it, and then they play 4-on-3 with these guys like Kaysen and Alex Caruso and Chet, who are more than capable of hitting open shots and more than capable of attacking open space and then finding the open guy themselves. But it's not going to look pretty, I think, and again, unless you get J-Dub and AJ back, then I think they could really kind of open up a whole world of possibilities.
I think the last guy in the Thunder that we haven't touched on, who I think is pretty critical, is Jalen Williams, because he gives them
Jay Will.
He gives them like that extra ability to go 5 out while not sacrificing size too much. Obviously, he's not as big as Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein, but he does provide the best floor spacing. I think even better than Chet. But either way, floor spacing. So that is a look they can kind of turn to, and I think that's kind of how they got some offense going in that game, in that last game 5, where Shea might be the only threat off the dribble, but at least you have 5 shooters out there who are more than capable of knocking it down. Impressive screener. I think like something we're also seeing is like even though nobody's offense is able to get going or like flow very beautifully, like
beautiful game type beat.
yeah. I think Thunder definitely look more composed in terms of like, okay, they acknowledge that like nothing's coming easy. This is gonna be pretty ugly, but we're gonna take the right shots. We're gonna make the right plays against this elite defense and just dissect the defense that way calmly and kind of acknowledge that this throughout each game, all 48 minutes, it's gonna be a rocky road. You're gonna have cold stretches, of course, where you're relying so much on the 3 because when you're packed in the paint and you're gonna miss them, but through Shea kind of creating some offense, creating some good looks, getting to the line a bunch, and hopefully like they're probably praying that he can finally have like a good mid-range shooting game.
Yeah,
that their offense can get humming. But
there's not a single guy on this like bench mob that tries to do too much. I think that is one of the really impressive things. These are all guys you can genuinely trust to make the right pass basically every time they touch the ball. That's so huge because you see it's like you're not seeing a lot of individual creation from it. Even Jared McCain, who's been very good offensively, most of it has come on shots that other people created for him. When he's moving around the perimeter and they're finding him for these open or semi-contested threes. Same thing with Alex Caruso. A lot of these threes, I mean, again, he's been incredible. And the shooting, it's been such a major swing factor. But again, most of these shots are just he's standing in the corner, the ball swings, 4 or 5 times and then finds him and he knocks down the open shot. Jalen Williams especially, I mean, again, Jay Will, his passing has been really impressive. There's multiple times he's basically caught the ball and in one motion. Well. Yeah, and just in one motion, like turned around, boom, kind of like eyes in the back of his head, like Jokic type beat, found an open shooter. He's just looked incredible to me as a passer, and as a shooter. I mean, he's been one of, I think. The minutes. I mean, I'm looking at right now. Like, only played 60 minutes this last game.
Was in game 1 though.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, I was gonna say I think he's played. I would bet in game 5 he played a lot more minutes than 16. About to be wrong, aren't I?
No, definitely.
No, he played exactly 16. That's kind of funny. Well, it felt like more than 16. That's just how impactful he's been.
Let's see, game 4.
22. Okay, fair enough. He was 1 of 7. But again, he really has looked so locked into the system. That's the one thing I'll say. I just wanted to give him a shout out.
He was bad. That was the game they lost.
Yeah,
but
I mean, and you need guys like that.
Yeah, I think like when you typically when you think of like, oh, this team has an elite bench, you think of, oh, they have like a microwave score like a Jordan Clarkson.
These are guys like that, but it's still
exactly. I mean, Jared McCain is like the closest guy to that kind of player, but even he's more of a connected passer than Jordan Clarkson. He's an incredible shooter, can create off the dribble, kind of like that.
But he still really is much more of an off-ball player.
Exactly.
You want him coming off of screens and taking motion threes.
Yeah. So I think that's. I mean, it's not breaking any news, but the Thunder are an elite team, obviously, and down two of their definitely 5 at least most important players. They're still beating up on what you consider to be the second best team. So
you're seeing the value of guys who are just locked into a system. It is admittedly a beautiful thing, even if it can look boring. I mean the Spurs got the same complaints whenever they were dominant. It's boring, blah blah blah. None of these guys are individual superstars, but I mean that's how you win games.
So I guess now that we've kind of talked about major trends, the Spurs have to win 2 straight games. The Thunder only have to win 1 of the next 2. How do you see this kind of playing out over the next?
I mean, look,
5
again,
days?
You're going to need, if you're the Spurs, you're going to need at least one of these is going to have to be a hot shooting game. You can't, I mean, like I said, 27, 29, 31, you have to be shooting like 35+% from 3 because they've been jacking them up. That's the one thing I will give them credit for. They haven't gone away from it. They've continued to have these shooters continue to have confidence in themselves. They're getting decently open looks. I think the system as it is is working fairly well, getting them the looks that they want. But you're going to need Vassell and Champagny and even and Fox and Castle, who aren't volume shooters in the same way, but you do rely on them to stretch the defense at least a little bit, especially when they have so much on ball time.
They lost.
You're going to need multiple of these guys to have multiple hot shooting games in a row. I think, and it's so often, I mean, especially nowadays with the way the teams jack up threes, that is what it comes down to. You need guys who are jacking up these shots to make them, and if they don't, you lose. But then also, you're going to need one of your three guards, and I don't think it's going to be Fox because Fox looks checked out, to be honest. You're going to need one of, I think, your young guys, Steph Castle or Dylan Harper, to have the kind of games that they were having. Actually, I shouldn't. Castle, it's been rocky, but I think at least statistically, he's been very impressive.
Yeah.
Harper, definitely, you're going to need him to kind of turn back the clock about a week and a half to that Timberwolves series when he just looked so incredibly dominant with the ball in his hands. He was getting whatever he wanted downhill. You need him to find out a way to do this against what is, of course, a much better defense and a much better rim protector in Chet. Because, again, I think De'Aaron Fox is just not going to be providing you with any type of
kind of has no advantages.
He's not going to move. He's not going to move anybody with the pressure that he's putting on the defense.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. He's not going to be drawing two. He's not going to be forcing the defense to collapse. Maybe you'll get a hot shooting night from him, and he'll hit some of those turnaround fadeaways. He'll go like 2 of 5 from 3 instead of 1 of 7. But he's not going to be moving anybody. You need Harper to be doing that because right now what it's been is kind of the Steph Castle show where you need him to be creating the advantage on every possession, and when he's doing that,
he's guarding Shea on the other end.
Exactly. He can do it admirably, but that's going to lead you into turnovers. It's going to lead you into possessions where he kind of dribbles the air out of the ball and forces up tough, finishes of trying to go over Chet or over two defenders when they've kind of collapsed and he's not finding the right pass. You need to take the load off of him, and I think the guy to do that is going to be Dylan Harper. So I think a lot of it is actually going to fall on him. And then also, it's easy to say like, oh, Wemby just needs to cook or whatever. I don't really see that happening, to be honest.
He
has not looked comfortable, even in the games
since game one.
Even in the games that he played well, he's not looked very comfortable. So I mean, on defense, he's looked incredible. He's been incredible.
Game one before they made the Harnson and Judge adjustment. I think he's played pretty well inside and shot well.
But I mean,
he only hit 2 from three.
But again, this is getting back to what I was saying earlier. It's pretty clear the league said, all right, at least for this series, you get to do that to him.
Yeah.
So since that adjustment was made, he hasn't looked comfortable at all, and I don't think anything's going to change with that. I think it's going to be officiated the same way. I think the Thunder are going to play him the same way, and I think he's probably going to respond the same way, which is he's going to be a little bit unsure of himself, and he's going to be looking for other guys to set him up and not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of that's going to fall on the shoulders of Dylan Harper, and then secondarily, obviously, on Castle, who's already been doing, I think, all that he can.
Yeah.
You really can't expect any more out of him, but yeah, it's going to be on their shoulders.
Yeah. I 100% agree with like 90 or like all of what you said. I do think like in terms of the shooters, the two shooters that you really want, you need, like, I don't think you even think you need like them to shoot 50% from 3. Like both of them have shown they're capable of. Like you just need both of them to, not both of them to lay an egg. I mean, just shooting like 30+% from 3, I think would be just fine enough to like give their offense a decent floor. And then kind of like you said, I think Harper, he has a certain advantage against some guys on the OKC defense. Like as great as their perimeter defense is, there's certain guys like Cason Wallace, who's slightly slight, and Chet, obviously, in the post, who I'm kind of comfortable with Dylan Harper, if he's healthy, which, he's not. But you've seen him have the ability to take both of those guys off the dribble and get some easy stuff inside now, like relatively easy. Obviously, it's still against an elite rim protector and elite on-ball defender, but just much more reliable than, solely relying on Vassell and Champagny threes, which they're elite. You're gonna have to lean on them a bit in this game 6 and 7, 6-7. But you don't want to solely rely on them because that can shoot yourself in the foot. You want to have like a healthy balance between relying on your elite shooters and as well as getting inside. And Wemby, I really hope that he can not like flip the script because that's impossible against like the way Hartenstein and Chet are guarding him inside. But I mean, just like impose yourself ever so slightly. I mean, like have us feel you because we haven't. Feels like in the past, ever since game one, his presence inside has not been felt at all. Really,
he's also another guy who could probably benefit a lot from just a hot shooting game from three.
100%. So I mean, there's the avenue for the Spurs to win these next two games, but it's going to take some. You just need more offensively. I mean, your defense is doing its job. You're defending Shea as well as any team possibly can, but you need certain guys to step up that have not all stepped up at the same time. So that's the hope for them to win these next two games. Predictions in terms of actual predictions, I think similar to you. I think it's going to come down to that game seven. I think Spurs they're going to feel the moment. They're going to like whether or not I think they're just not going to be thinking about how well they shoot from three, and that's going to help with them actually shooting well from three because they're not going to be thinking about it in this game six. That game seven, though, I feel like anything can happen in that game seven. Like, and that's 100% true. So
I still think. I mean, yeah. I mean, I still think. I mean, my prediction coming in was Thunder in seven, which of course means they're going to be taking that game seven at home. I still think that's what's going to happen. I mean, what they always say about shooting is that water finds its level. So I do think you could maybe say Spurs are kind of due for a hotter shooting night, and that's really going to help them. And I also think that, I mean, again, without getting too conspiratorial, maybe at least for that game six, you see some tougher calls going against
the Thunder.
against Hartenstein specifically. Maybe you say, okay, Wimby, like you can impose yourself. We're going to allow you to impose yourself a little bit more, and we're not going to let them bully you as much. It's a game six to go to seven. It's at home, etc. But yeah, I mean, yeah, and like you said, they're going to be charged up. They don't want to go out in front of the home crowd. So I would. I would put pretty solid money on them taking this to seven, but then I would still say, yeah, this Thunder team, they've been there. They've looked overall, they have looked better. I think you've looked at a point differential, they would be significantly up in this series. And none of these Spurs players look ready to truly take over, dominate that game seven in a way that I think I could still believe. I could at least see Shea doing that in a way that I couldn't see any of these Spurs players doing. So
yeah, I mean, the Thunder team has been taken to seven twice
in
the last 2 years, coming into the series heavy favorites. I think they've been in this position where they were the heavy favorites and they felt the pressure of that game seven where like you might potentially get upset and then they respond pretty well. So I think they're kind of used to how that feels and like they're not gonna. I don't expect them to crumble the way other teams have. I think they have that chip on their shoulder or they've responded to that chip on their shoulder where they're heavy favorites and they get pushed to seven and yet they respond. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Thunder in seven. I think that was my prediction coming in. So we can also do a hypothetical Spurs versus Knicks or Thunder.
I'd probably say just wait till this because we're gonna do I think another episode when the series is over and then then we can focus on the finals preview. I'd say.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, predictions is Spurs or Thunder and seven for both of us. So predicting a Thunder Knicks finals, and we'll catch you guys. Let me double check real quick what the when the game seven is or potential game seven.
It better be seven.
Yeah, I think they're playing tomorrow. And then probably 2 days from tomorrow, so Thursday and
Saturday.
Yeah, so potentially catch you guys tomorrow, I guess, as soon as tomorrow if the Thunder pull it off. And hopefully, more likely, Saturday when somebody comes out in game seven. Thank you all for watching and see you guys next time.